morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whatever time this stream is finding you. Welcome to another edition of Recover the Ball with Cowboy Chris. Remember, this is a show where we meet at that intersection of healing, hope, and having a good time. We talk all Cowboys content relations, and as well as we talk all recovery, because as you know, I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan, and that's what we like to talk about here at Recover the Ball, as well as talk about recovery, whether you're recovering from addiction or condition, whether you're recovering from injury or loss, or whether you're just trying to recover that vision, that purpose, and that dreams. That's what we love to do here at Recover the Ball with Cowboy Chris. And today, y'all, I have another phenomenal guest. I'd like to welcome to the show James McDowell. How you doing, my brother?
Thank you, man, for having me. Thank you.
Man, I'm so glad to have another Cowboy fan in the house.
Yeah, yes.
Indeed, indeed. And, like we always do here at Recover the Ball, we're going to do our Cowboy Chris updates and takes. And, I'm going to pull James in there since he's a Cowboy fan. He can kind of help me through the process. But as you all have seen, you win some, you lose some. We're recording this right after that big Saints loss and, and after that big Cleveland win. So, we're going to have to, do a real good assessment of where we're at with this team. In watching the game, I saw some good things, but it was a lot of bad, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It almost looked like that playoff, like the last time we were in AT&T Stadium when we were facing the Packers. That wasn't a pretty sight, and the Saints reminded us very quickly that we got a lot of work to do. It's not going to be an easy run, going down if we're trying to get to where we really want to get to, and which is the Super Bowl. But I feel like that's a taboo word to say for some Cowboy fans, but every year, that's what I'm striving for. I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I'm always going to be always striving for the top notch and whatnot, as well as, I really love to see us get at least to the, NFC Championship game. I think that'll at least be taking a step and whatnot, and so, we're going to talk about the Cowboys a little bit, as we get into the conversation with James, but also with the recovery updates. As you know, September is Recovery Month, and so you check your local listings of what's going on in your state, your local municipality. There's a lot of things going on with recovery this month. I'd like to shout out DC Recovery Community Alliance, one of the nonprofits that I work with. They're doing a lot of work in the community with recovery. We were just at the Nationals game yesterday where, we were able to bring some folks out as well as get the message out of what's happening in the community in regards to, recovery from addictions and conditions that are affecting our community. And, fentanyl is just running rampant. It's not even just with those that are, doing maybe the harder drugs, but those that are, maybe started out, you had an injury and then you find yourself, taking those medications from the hospital, and it's hard to get off of those. So we want to keep all those in our prayers and in our, positive thoughts and affirmations for those that are trying to overcome recovery from that sense and whatnot. But as I say, always here at Recover the Ball, this is an all recovery network. So no matter what you're recovering from, we want to talk about it because there's a lot of people out there that need that inspiration and that hope, and letting them know that, you can recover. Recovery is possible, and no matter what it is you're recovering from, because change is possible. And we don't have to stay in a hopeless state of mind and body like, sometimes some people do. And, unfortunately, there's the other side of the story. But, we're here to bring those out that we can. And so we're going to jump right into it. We're going to talk about, our Cowboys here. And I'd like to welcome James to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. So what I normally how I like to start out is I ask my Cowboy fans as they come on, and I remember you telling me the story yesterday, and I want the Recover the Ball family to hear the story, is how did you become a Cowboy fan? How did you fall in love with the silver and blue?
Well, the silver and blue was always in the forefront. However, being raised in Chicago, I was a Bears fan.
The Windy City.
That's all I knew, and she was a Chicago Bears fan. Mm-hmm. I was a football fan first, but being from Chicago, it was natural, to think of me as being a Chicago Bears fan. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, when I understood, and she began to understand what the game of football was about, and I began to understand the players, then I became to know the team and the members on it. Mm-hmm. Well, after about my 10th year, of being on this earth, and watching year after year after year, Even when they finally started to put shoot football on television, I got tired of watching the boys shoot the Bears lose continually. But Dallas was always one of those teams that was in the forefront, that was always in the thick of things. Tom Landry, man, and shooting the players, boy, that he had. And so finally, and like I told you, we discussed earlier, after going to a game, man, that day was cold. It was cold, man. Yeah, being in Soldier Field.
Wow.
And I got tired of, man, I'm sitting there in the cold, man, watching this team lose. After that, I said, man, I'm going to forget this chicken dinner and go with the winner. And so from the teams, because actually, to tell you the truth, I liked Kansas City.
Okay.
But it was something about, man, that's silver, blue, and white, man. Silver, blue, and white. And once I went with them, the winning, man, continued, boy. And I began to know more about the team and the club. And I said, this is where I'm gonna lie. Yeah, this is where I'm gonna lie.
Man, that's so interesting because Kansas City actually started out in Dallas and they moved from Dallas.
Yes, they did.
To Kansas City and whatnot.
Yes, they did. Chicago being one of the original teams, boy, of the NFL. They were actually another name. I think at one time, I think it was Steelers or something like that. I can't remember exactly what. But a lot of teams that's today were different names. Back then. So.
Indeed.
Yeah, but like I say, man, I decided, man, and I've been with them ever since.
And whatnot. Yeah, I can only imagine. It is funny, being born in New York but raised here in the DMV as well. It was like, I think my dad, when I first moved here, he tried to make me at that time Redskins fan, but I think I was too young at the time.
Well, you can forgive him. You can forgive him.
But there's some blackmail pictures going around with me and some Commanders gear. I vividly see it. I have on like a Redskins jacket. Like the old, football like Letterman's jackets. It was like the burgundy hair, the gold sleeves. And my dad, he drove a motorcycle, and I had a motorcycle helmet on top and whatnot. And I was like, oh, I got to find that picture and burn it and whatnot, because I don't want no blackmail. Cowboy Chris.
Dad was influencing you big time then, wasn't he?
He was trying to.
Yeah,
I think early on, I was a little too young to understand the game, and it was just a jacket to me. But then my mom is actually the one that got me into football. Shout out to Mamie Lou, who really got me into football, and just, she would watch it. And, like a lot of people, football was how we came together on the weekends. After long, days, week of work, she invited people over to the house, and that was just kind of like how we relaxed. We had folks over and just, enjoyed the game and whatnot. And, I always tell the story. She was rooting for the Cowboys for a pool at her job, but, so I was like, oh, my mama a Cowboy fan, I'm gonna be a Cowboy fan. But at the end of the game, she told me, she was like, oh, no, I ain't no Cowboy fan. I was rooting for my pool, son. So I'm a Steeler fan.
Mom was going to count that money.
Right.
Mom was going to count that money, yes.
Exactly. But she said, but if you were a Cowboy, and I always loved that moment, because it was a time she helped me to start thinking for myself, because she was like, but if you're a Cowboy fan, then that's what you are, And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I think I'm going to just stick with this team and, sort of show my loyalty here. And it was perfect, too, because – and that was something I wanted to ask you as well, because like you said, the Cowboys were at the forefront, because I know here on the East Coast, and I hear a lot of stories of how Cowboys were always on TV. If you didn't get a Redskins game, and especially in the South, the Cowboys were really featured. But you saying in the Midwest, you got to see a lot of the Cowboys too. Is that how it was growing up there, or?
Well, growing up
even
there,
with Chicago being one of the foundational teams, it's just interesting to hear that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Chicago is a big sports city.
Okay.
Football, basketball, baseball, you name it, man. I know today there's a Chicago team for it.
Right.
But back then, you had your own ideas and your own choices, but as far as the teams that you like, because back then, like I said, I was a big football fan. And back we had our favorite players.
Okay.
Linebackers and running backs, and and knowing and shoot the players by name.
Right.
Dallas, when they came in, I always noticed there was a big I guess since the term I'm looking for, there was always a big party when they came in.
Okay.
Because not only, not only with the surrounding areas, but the downtown man would be, especially when they came into town and the players.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And plus they were, in high regards as one of the elite teams because they were under Landry. They were, they were winning. They had winning season after season after season. And so we started off, and I say we, me, the friends and I, man, growing up on the block, man, where we would play and shoot tackle football, and we would come out, boy, and shoot, and sometimes, man, it might not be until Christmas when you got that football and you got that jersey if you were lucky enough. Being in the projects, man. Other times, man, hey, you grab one of Dad's, man, old big shirts, stuffed it with newspaper. Okay. Because it wasn't as it is now with things like Fanatics and all. We had one sports store, man, in our area, man, that our folks, man, they weren't worried necessarily, man, about buying sports gear. Okay. Because believe it or not, I also grew up and liking hockey. Okay. Grew up and also in baseball. That's a definite because we had the White Sox, man, and the Cubs. So in my hometown, man, you grew up playing sports. Okay. You grew up playing sports. So, but as the game issues, as I got older, and I began to understand the game more, it was that winning tradition, man. Because you never saw Dallas, man, with a losing record. Okay. Except for man, when it got to
like the first early years.
The early years and some of the early coaches. But see, I really didn't know Dallas and back then until they had Tom Landry. Okay, gotcha. Before that, I couldn't tell you who the coaches were. Right. However,
it might have been our first coach who went there because it was, if I remember correctly, him and Vince Lombardi were with the Giants or with a team, and then when they both left there, Lombardi, he went to Green Bay, and Landry went to to coach the Cowboys.
As a matter of fact, Landry and a number of the coaches back then were with Vince Lombardi, boy, and they were a lot of his coaches. During that time.
Really revolutionized the league.
Yes. Just like the forward pass. Also, you had a lot of the stop-go action, boys. That they use so much now. It was back then, man. It was really pretty much a pass or run league. And then he started introducing players who did other sports. Like for instance, Bob Hayes. Right. Bob Hayes was a track man. And couldn't hardly anybody catch him. And they started bringing in the speed. And then now, as we have it today, everybody is so specialized. Everybody is so specialized. But
especially if you're one of the top players in your position and whatnot. Some of the other guys can do some special teams, but if you feature like a CeeDee Lamb, he's not going, at this point, making all that money, they're not going to have him returning kicks, you know what I'm saying? Definitely. They might have early in his career, but
Definitely. And today, you have players, boys, that are not only specialized in but you got players, man, that go both ways. Not too many. Not too many, because when they get to a certain level and they start paying them that big money. If they're drafting a kid, boy, you manage to play a receiver or a running back or the linebacker or whatever position, that's what they want them to play. And now they've gotten to the point is where they're stopping players from participating in preseason.
Right.
Because especially when they play in the kind of money that they play.
Right. They don't want them to go out there and get hurt. And, But interestingly enough, the Kansas City Chiefs, they've been winning, and that's Andy Reid makes sure his starters get out there and play during preseason, which is interesting. So it's like, which philosophy is winning out and whatnot. But, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes what's going to be the best route to take and whatnot. Because sometimes, as you see now, we're in the early part of the season.
Yes.
Sometimes it's taking the players a while to get their feet up under them to about about the fourth game. Then you really see who's who and whatnot.
Yeah, right. Right between that fourth and that midway point, and now being 17 games, but right around that 8th and 9th game, then supposedly all of the so-called bugs and all of the kinks and everything, boy, should be out. By the time it's half the season.
Yeah. So, man, God, I love talking with an old Cowboy fan, somebody that knows the history of it, because the game has changed so much. I came along. I became a fan like in the 70s, so I was able to see some championships there. And then, you have our 90s Cowboys, because it was kind of hard when at least we would get there and we were losing to the Steelers. But then, Troy Aikman came along and been able to see those championships. But, as they say now, it's been, 30 years, going on 30 years since we had those, those glory days and whatnot.
Since 95, man. 96 season. And it's something else, and how the years have passed, man, so quickly, man, and the time has added up. And really, when you think about it, or you say, "Oh, well, it hasn't been that much," but when you look at it, it's been quite a while. It's been over 20 years.
Yeah.
It's been over 20 years.
And
long overdue.
And even with that time that's passing, it's sometimes people love and hate this about our owner, Jerry Jones. He always seems to keep us relevant, though. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? And one of the things I'm finding is that a lot of people, boy, especially like other teams, they've made the comments quite a bit. Hey, you guys, you keep Jerry Jones because he's going to keep you guys and you managing in that losing. That kind of losers bracket, boy. But then you get all built up, and they say, and you get to the playoffs, and say, now we being recognized as a team. Maybe we'll make the first game,
first and second round.
But then after that,
Well, hope springs eternal.
Well, believe me, I'm definitely with you there. I'm definitely with you there.
Yeah. So what's your take on this new iteration of the Cowboys? Since we brought on, Dak Prescott, he's been polarizing, and this, our new team. Well, I guess we can talk from this year and whatnot. And since they brought on McCarthy, what's your feelings about our current state of the Cowboys?
Well, starting and shooting from coaching, McCarthy was a good coach, but that was during his time in Green Bay. I don't know if it was he was what was left. Or they decided to jump and get him in early and shoot, because I know they had some other coaches that they were considering.
Right.
But McCarthy, she was a winner. And Jerry Jones has an idea in his mind, and that he's going to bring the championship championship, to the Cowboys. However, the fact of the matter is that he's not the only one.
Right.
Right. The team right now, it's kind of hard to where it used to be, is where you kind of knew everybody, just about everybody on the team, who was in the receiving corps, who was in the running backs, and who was in quarterback, and even the line.
Right.
Now they've been. I'd say it's more or less like it's been like a choose and plug in.
Right.
Because
have a few staples, but then everybody else is kind of like ciphering players. One that was in Giants last year's could be on your team, the next year. Just depends and whatnot.
Well, you seen that same thing when it came time, boy, and shoot for contract negotiation.
How about that?
Because like from defense, we got Michael Parsons. From offense, we got CeeDee Lamb and Dak.
Drafting well.
Yes, but you also seeing the devaluation of players per position.
Oh yeah,
and
especially running back.
Oh, definitely. And they talk a lot about the Cowboys lack of a good running, being a good running team.
Right.
But you bring player back. We know who we're talking about. Number 15, Zeke, bringing Zeke back. But then you still have, as part of your draft, and you have some shall we say, unproven players.
Right.
And because you got Dukes, boy, they got from Kansas State.
Right.
All right. And really, Rico Dowdell. a number of these players, they do have some experience. However, long-term championship experience.
Right.
No,
And
they don't.
They recycle them so fast too. Dowdle's been with us for a while, but he's been so injury prone.
Yes.
And I'm glad they did kind of give Deuce a few more touches yesterday, because to me that seems like what we're lacking a little bit. Because Zeke, he don't have the burst that he once did when we first drafted him, and I feel like we just need we need more juice than just what we get from Turpin on the kickoff returns and CD as a receiver. It's like we need some more explosive players, I feel like, on this new squad.
Well, one of the things in that same, remember, and when he was in the earlier part of his career, with the Cowboys, he himself and Dak and everybody was very familiar, with the offensive line.
Yeah.
We had a totally different offensive line, and they were rated, and a lot of time one of the if not the number one line in the league.
Right.
And they were opening holes. Now, them holes, man, are not there, man. Like they once were. These guys, man, got to earn, that money.
Yeah.
And plus, the stability of having, man, players that have been there and that have started.
Right.
That haven't been hurt. And that haven't been injury prone.
Right.
And they've played together.
Yeah.
Now he goes off, man, and he had to go someplace else and to play. Now you bring him back, and now it's like, all right, well, who do we plug in?
Right.
Who is and shoot that back that you can give the ball to 20 times or more?
Right. Yeah. And the league has changed a lot too.
Oh, very much so.
We're not as much of a ground and pound, but I mean, you look at. And that's something that one of the content creators of the Cowboys, Vach Lombardi, shout out to him, he was talking about how even though I like Mike McCarthy and I feel like he's helped us create somewhat of a winning culture, but it's like even his style of football is, if he doesn't upgrade enough, because you have like that Kyle Shanahan, the San Franciscos and the Saints. The guy who's their offensive coordinator now, he's from that tree,
That's
and
That's
so
correct.
Even taking that West Coast, they've improved on that. You know what I mean? And so why don't we get some fresh blood, or it's a copycat league, as they say. I wouldn't mind them bringing somebody in that can kind of help modernize, even McCarthy's system, because to me he has a pretty good system. We were pretty successful last year, but it seems like with some tweaks here and there, maybe we can be more like a 2024 type of offense than trying to relive the glory days of what he had when he was in Green Bay. You know what I mean?
Well, one of the things on that same note, we were talking before. If we're talking about Mike McCarthy, I have no problem with Mike McCarthy. However, during that time in Green Bay has been, like you said, long and past.
Right.
Now, if you notice, a lot of the coordinators, man, whether it's defense or offense, they're a lot younger.
Yep.
These guys, man, but they have been around football all their lives.
Yeah.
And there's a certain freedom. There's a certain allowance, to lack of better terms, man, that coaches, manager are giving these guys, man.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy was more or less offense. And he had to change the defense, because that was one of our big things in last year.
Yes.
However, I think you're right, is that they have to look at being able, to not only upgrade the offense itself, but also bring in the kind of people, that where we can make those changes, and they have the freedom to do so.
So, yeah. Well, our owner, a lot of times that's when we get into conversations about ownership.
Oh yeah.
Jerry Jones is like, he's the greatest, ringleader and marketer that there is for the NFL as a whole, but yet, him calling himself the general manager and kind of, getting in the way sometimes, I think. Even though I don't think I'm not as mad as Jerry as like some folks are, but because I think he does hire some people like a Will McClay that has allowed us to draft really well. But yet and still sometimes it's just like, okay, when it comes to hiring the coaches, like you were just talking about, if we could get some younger blood in there and with some newer, fresher ideas, not only the offense, but even on the defensive side, because like you say, we just hiring, some of the older coaches, like we bring in Mike Zimmer for the defense. Last week, with Cleveland, we were looking like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was, we got something. And then this week with the Saints, it's it wasn't looking too good. You know what
Well,
I mean?
you know, it's funny you mentioned that, and because I know, and at work today, man, I was talking with some of the players, some of the people, boy, that I work with, and they're, they're encouraging in very other different teams. And one of the things, and is that we were discussing, and I said, they had that first win. They got that first win under their belt, and which was great. You're off to a good start. But I wasn't necessarily, too happy yet because it was just the first game.
First game, yeah.
And I hate it in a way, but of course, I also like it because it's still early enough.
Yes.
Where not only can you learn from it, but see, one of the things, and getting back to your question, is like with Jerry, there's always been that question. Yeah, you hired coaches, you hire this, but do you let them do their job?
Exactly, that's right.
You're down on the field. Hey, it's your team. You own the team. You own the facilities, all of that.
Right.
Yeah, but do you let them do the job that you hired them for?
And that's that comes back to leadership in a way. Sometimes as a good leader, you got to know when to get out the way, because just even your presence, even you. Every week talking on the radio show. He has his own radio show in Dallas. Whenever you speak, it's especially as the owner of the Cowboys, the biggest brand that there is. It's going to resonate more so than like say if the Jaguar owner, well, he has a personality himself, but some of these other owners, they speak. Sometimes people take it with a grain of salt. But if Jerry Jones says something, that's people trying to read between the lines and making headlines, and it becomes even more of a distraction than say it would if you're playing for some other team. You know what I mean? Well,
one of the things, man, that I've said too is that money brings privilege, and he is at the forefront. Him, Haft. That owner in Jacksonville, and a few more people, we could probably name. The family that owns Kansas City Chiefs.
The Hunts.
The Hunts. We can probably name a few more. Money brings privilege.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that they don't have a say-so, man, because with that commissioner.
Right.
Because that commissioner is at the forefront for the owners.
Yeah.
Okay. And they have a lot with doing with changing policies, with changing rules, with influencing coaches, with matter of fact, devaluing players by their position.
Yep.
So I see what you mean there, but. I know, he wouldn't be in favor of anybody coming in and telling him how to go about running his team.
That's not happening.
But
not on that million.
Oh no.
$billion Yahoo kids.
And that's definitely not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if you're going to hire a person, to be an offensive coordinator, if you're going to hire a person to be a coach, and that was one of the reasons Jimmy Johnson left.
Right.
I think he was trying to make a point then. He got Barry Switzer, also a friend and former teammate of his, when they were both playing for Oklahoma.
Right.
Brought them in, plugged him in, and it took a couple of seasons, but Dallas won.
You're right.
But that was because they had already had the kind of team that Jimmy Johnson and his people had brought in there.
Indeed.
That's always been the argument.
Indeed. Well, before we get out of this segment of the show, I wanted to ask you, we got Baltimore coming up. Hopefully when this airs, we have took care of business. But, how do you think we'll fare coming up this coming weekend against Baltimore?
Well, let me put it this way. Baltimore, I love you. I've been, I'm an implanted native. When I'm not rooting for the boys, I holler at you, but I'm still going to be with my boys.
Right.
However, we've got to get back to doing what we're doing, and they have got to find some answers about as far as everything, man, is not always counted in one phase of the game, and that's
right.
If you got to pass and pass and pass, man, you're definitely falling into thing of the defense.
Right.
Now, if you're being successful at it and you're doing, and the right mixing, boy, shoot, man, shoot, run play. You got to be able, boy, shoot, to run the ball.
Yeah.
You got to be able to not only pass the ball, but you got to be able, boy, shoot, to mix it up where you can keep the shoot, man, shoot, team, the opposing teams off balance.
Indeed, no doubt, no doubt.
And right now, we're not doing it.
No. But I got hope, fellas. I think we're gonna do it.
So
it's
do I.
Still early. It's
so
still
do I.
early. We can, 1-1. Hopefully, we 2-1 by the time you see this. But as always, we're gonna take a quick commercial break here. Recover the ball. Thanks for joining us once again, family. And we're gonna see you right on the other side. Be right back. That's new cadence. Here we go. That's going viral, the whole nine. So you're now rocking with Cowboy Chris and Recover the Ball, where we're going to be talking football. We're going to talk recovery and being at that intersection of healing, hope, and having a good time, folks. I want you to give me 15 minutes and then give me the last 15 minutes and then check out at least 3 episodes, and I'm sure you'll be convinced that this is the show that you want to rock with great Cowboys content. We're gonna be talking recovery, we're gonna talk in life, because in life, we're trying to not only, root on our teams, and we're not only talking about recovery from substance abuse, we're talking about recovery. There's a lot of people out there trying to recover their dreams, trying to recover that hope, trying to recover that purpose. And we're gonna do that here on Recover the Ball with Cowboy Chris. I'm gonna have great guests, like my great guest I have here now, Karen. She's gonna rock with me, and we're gonna be doing great things here at Recover the Ball with Cowboy Chris. Tune in. Welcome back to Recover the Ball. We're having such a great time here with my man James McDowell. So glad you joined the show. Having great Cowboy talk. But as we always do here at Recover the Ball, we talk not only football, but we also talk all about recovery. Because as you know, as I always say, whether you're recovering from addiction or condition, whether you're coming from injury or loss, we all have a test or testimony that we get to share with our viewers, because with all the fun and all the good times that we have, we also like to give a little inspiration and a little motivation for those that might be going through a little something, and just share our story with how we've been able to recover. I've shared my story on here, and as you've seen, we've had phenomenal guests that we've had great times talking football, but at the same time, they've told us about their recovery stories as well and whatnot. That's been a great time. And so we're on this other side, James, and one of the first questions I like to ask people when you hear the word recovery, how does that resonate with you? When you hear the word recovery. And before you tell that, I just want to shout out once again, remind folks that it is Recovery Month, and so check out your local municipalities and see what's going on, see how that you can plug into Recovery Month as well this month of September. But James, as I was asking you, when you hear that word recovery, how does that resonate with you?
Well, recovery is more personal now than it ever has been. It's been at least almost 3 years for myself.
Okay.
Especially having to go through a heart attack scare.
Wow.
It's something I know, as we talked before, that I never thought would be a problem with me. And sometimes I found myself, man, really looking at how I was taking care of myself, what I was eating, whatever. Now, if my wife is here, she'd probably tell you, no, you didn't. You were eating.
Wives have a way of doing that, right?
You were eating everything. Thank you, baby. Thank you. Yeah, everything under the sun. However, as you may or may not know, there is a big misconception that someone either young or if you've never even had problems before, is not susceptible to.
Wow.
If you remember me telling you, there have been people, that I've known, whether most of my life, most of the time that I've been here in this area, or even that I grew up with, from both from young to old.
Right.
Ended up and she'd having heart blockage, heart attacks, and unfortunately, and she'd dying from unknown
Okay.
unknown complications.
Okay.
It was really and something that was really brought to the forefront in my own case, and because I was going through trying to recover from COVID.
Okay.
And I had been sick, unlike I've never had been before. I think it only probably happened to me once before, where I was down 2 weeks, and I barely left the bed.
Wow.
I was barely up and walking. It doesn't mean that I couldn't. One thing though, I didn't lose my appetite.
Okay.
However, I was sleeping a lot.
Okay.
Even my wife was coming in checking on me, and she constantly, and she kept saying, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" And yes. And once we got through the COVID scare, make a long story short, we was in. It was like a 2-week time period.
Okay.
And we were at the end of the 2-week time period, and I was getting ready to return to work. Matter of fact, I had even called my job and told them that I was returning that next week.
Right.
We went out on my wife had appointments, doctor's appointments, and we also went shopping and things like that. And we were gone most of the morning and to the early part of the afternoon. Once upon returning home, I was downstairs in my basement. I was sitting there and she'd relaxing, boy, after being out. But I had a big discomfort, in my chest. And I was thinking, no longer learn at the same time, maybe it was just gas. Unfortunately, one of the things that, like I was talking to you before, we men, and especially black men, we tend to not just overlook, but thinking, well, no, this is not me.
Right.
I'll be all right. It's probably just gas. I'm gonna let this. I'm gonna let this pass for a while and see what happens. And unfortunately, it did not.
Right.
And so I even went to the thing of going back to an old remedy, thinking, boy, that all I had gas, boy, was that I needed the belch.
You need the ginger ale.
Ginger ale, in this case, there wasn't any ginger ale because we had a fridge downstairs, but I drank warm water. And all that did was aggravated, boy, even more.
Yeah.
It relieved because I did belch. However, that pain did not stop.
There. Okay. Gotcha.
Now, I thank the Lord, boy, for keeping me here. I have no problem in telling you, boy, man, the Lord was with me, man, and done that. But one of the things, boy, if I remember I was telling you, and she was fast. FAST.
Okay, right.
Right.
Acronym.
Right. My face, my arms.
Okay.
I think they say, was it face, arm? I forgot what S&T.
Okay. S&T. Okay, gotcha,
But I went through those things, but I was still having acute pain, but there was no drooping in the face.
Okay.
There was no slurred speech. That's F. Slurred speech. S. That's slurred speech.
Right.
Okay. And but I knew enough that, knowing my body, that something was not right. So the good thing is I was still able to walk. I was still in consciousness. There wasn't any drooping, like I said, in my face and on my arm or anything. Right. It was just my chest. I could breathe.
Okay.
And I could walk. I was able to walk back upstairs. I alerted my wife, and she didn't let her know something wasn't right. I said, look, maybe you need to call somebody. And I went. After all that, I went to my room to lay down until they had emergency response come to the house. When they got there, I was still fully conscious, but that pain would not subside.
Wow.
It would not subside. So after them talking to me, they had me out in my living room area, and before we left out. And it's a funny thing then, and it's almost like I passed out. I dropped down and from standing,
Okay.
down to my seat. I was seated on the floor. I was still somewhat conscious, but from going from a standing position,
Right.
all of a sudden,
So
man,
just, yeah,
I was almost on my way out.
Yeah.
They got me up.
Yeah.
I was able to stand, and then I was able, believe it or not, to walk out my door, down the steps, driveway, and shoot out to the ambulance.
Wow.
All right. They had me in the ambulance.
So let me ask you something.
Yes.
As you were going through this process, had you been getting checkups on a regular before, or what was your,
yes. Oh,
yeah.
yes. One of the things that I definitely encourage, and just because you're young doesn't necessarily mean, boy, you're young. Ever since my days in the military.
Okay, so you had been getting checked out, and
even once I left in 1986, and I had a series of doctors, and boy, shoot, every year.
Okay.
Checkup, eyes,
Wow.
heart.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, even and then as I've aged, colon.
Right.
And
Yep.
plus prostate, and yes, and and that's a number of the things, man. We as men and black men, boy, are very susceptible to.
Right.
But there hadn't been any indication about as far as the heart.
Right.
But it ended up being a blockage.
That's
And now,
interesting, 'cause I know, like, especially men, black men, and just black people in general, especially in America, have a strange relationship with the healthcare industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so sometimes it's passed on. Just how do we change that relationship? You hear about a lot of statistics that a lot of the black women go through, and then us as black men, a lot of times we, like you said, let me just get it. Like we were talking about, let me get a ginger ale. I could shake it off. I'm all right. But here's like you had a good relationship. You still were getting checked out, but it was something that wasn't detected. But yeah, I just kind of I'm thinking about that as we're discussing it, just like how we can change that relationship. But even with changing that relationship, you still have to kind of know yourself or know your body when something isn't quite right. Yeah.
Well, let me say this. First of all, not only getting the required checkups and being familiar with your doctors, one of the things, and remember I was telling you, and is that I'm a little bit older than you. And so a lot of that came, man, from my folks. A number of them, immigrated, from the South and up here.
Right.
And a lot of them were raised around in the Mississippi Delta, Florida, things like that. And a lot of times we had to take care of ourselves.
Right.
That there wasn't the type of doctors, that we have now, or the ability that we have now to go to doctors. And still, even today, that influence, is still prevalent, man, in our neighborhoods and and in our society. Some other things we have to look at too is being willing, to be able, man, to care about yourself.
Oh yeah, yes sir, yes
okay?
sir. Yep.
You cannot go about, thinking, man, that nothing's going to happen to you. I'm sure people that you grew up with, man, people, man, that came up with drugs and things and drinking and all kind of stuff. I mean, that was looked upon as having a good time. There's nothing wrong with having a good time. But it's just that
But it has its effect.
Oh, yeah.
It has its effect.
And on that effect, you see yourself. When you've been mistreating yourself, when you haven't been totally taking care of yourself, when you haven't been getting the right amount of sleep, when you haven't been, getting your rest. There's nothing wrong with getting your rest.
Right.
Eventually, you mistreat, the next thing you know, you're going to feel the effects of it.
Right.
No doubt. Even a lot of our stars.
Right. Oh yeah.
They were taking drugs. They were drinking, man. Listen, again, there's nothing wrong with having a good time, but if you mistreat, the next thing you're going to be treatable.
No doubt.
It's just that simple.
Yeah, I always say self-love is the best love, and when I say self-love, a lot of times what I'm really talking about is self-care.
Yes.
And none of us are immune, and when we, like you said, the older you get, you really see that the story doesn't change much, even with those, our stars and, whether it be sports and entertainment or the people that we can sometimes idolize, they've gone through their pathways of recovery and things that they weren't getting checked up, but they all come back and say the same things like, like you're sharing now, just, I had to get checked up, or I went through this episode and, because none of us are immune. All of us wake up in the morning. We all need rest. We all need hydration. We all need those, those remedies that's going to help us, survive. And when you said rest, that sleep, that's a big one. I don't think people realize or underestimate how important that is to, give your body that rest that it needs and whatnot. So, yeah.
One of the things in you, boy, that's always prevalent, your body and she has a way of telling you.
Oh, always.
If you are not in shoot, boy, and shoot, man, you're getting the right amount of sleep, you are doing yourself a disfavor and shoot because it's going to tell in some other ways.
No doubt.
I'm saying it now, but there's been certain times, man, and she was where, and she leading up and she to that time I had the heart attack. I was working, man, she 60 hours plus every week.
Okay.
And on an average, by the time I got in at night, I was back up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then having to be at work before 5 o'clock.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting in and she's late 10:30, by the time 11 o'clock, by the time I'm laying down, I'm only averaging about 4 hours. And it has a way of catching up with you. There have been times I've even scared myself, driving.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, my eyes have closed. And the next thing you know, I pull myself over to that curb, and I'm like an owl, boy. Driving all the way home.
I've been there.
But your body has a way, man, of letting you know. And unfortunately, I have been very fortunate enough, even to this day. My church, if you don't mind me saying,
go ahead.
I'm a member of Maple Spring Baptist Church where love is in action. Hey, Pastor Sam, Pastor and Jerome Sam Tarver. One of the things that has been prevalent, boy, we are a firm believer in relaying the story, boy, to those both old and young.
Yes, sir.
I can go back and shoot to individuals, boy, where they've been through heart attacks, where they've been through things with the prostate, where they've had cancer, where they've had individuals, boy, ended up, boy, being very sick and after that barely walking. But I can talk to them. I have somebody that I can bounce things off of. I feel and just like as I grew up, listening to the elders.
Yeah.
It's not only those that are elders, but those that have been through something.
How about that?
That can relay it to you,
yes,
man.
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
And if somebody that takes the time, boy, to tell you something, listen. Our former first lady, boy, she used to always say, her name was Jean Jordan. She used to always say, people don't have to be nice to you. If they're taking the time, boy, to go out of their way, to relay something to you, to talk to you, listen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes,
but
sir.
not only listen, hear what they're saying.
How about that? Yeah,
hear what they're saying.
And, as folks know on this show, I'm part of the recovery community because I struggled with alcohol at one point. But one of the things that we talk about is, sharing your experience, your strength, and your hope. And that experience part, is so important because, like you say, it doesn't matter who's older or younger, but if somebody has been through something, and when you hear them share their experience of what they've been through, and it sounds very similar to what you're going through, or may have been through yourself, like you say, that active listening needs to kick on in because what they're sharing with you is something that you probably need to hear and whatnot. I always say, like a lot of times for me, as I've gone through life, I always felt like my higher powers always talked to me. He gave me little messages, It started out kind of small, but if I'm noticing a pattern where the same message is coming up, and then I'm hearing it from, voices that I know have gone through or been through the same thing I've been through, to me, that's, the universe telling me like, hey, okay, you might want to pay attention to that so that maybe you can shift what it is that you're doing so that you don't have to maybe go through what they've been through, or maybe you can catch what it is that, you're going through right now a little sooner than later and having to be like maybe in an emergency state or not.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I have 2 children, and them being young black men, one of the things is, relaying down to them, my kids, boy, sometimes, man, they'll start saying, oh God, Dad is about to tell me when he was a kid story. But I do that because it was relayed to me.
Right.
And again, it's not so much as just the old, telling the young. But the thing being is that nobody has to say anything to you. You know, the information is out there.
Yeah.
A lot of what's going on these days, like in our men's ministry and other parts of our church, we have different health screenings,
Nice.
fairs and things every year, at least 2 or 3 times a year. We have different programs, man, that have come in, even those that have been behind bars.
Nice.
And you talk about recovery.
Yeah.
And have come out, and that have made it back into society.
Right.
I didn't know, that there were programs, in this county where they will help you, because one of the things, coming from a closed jail environment,
right.
when you're coming back out, here in society,
yes, sir.
there is nothing you think, that there is there, and to help you.
Right.
And once people, find out you've been incarcerated, or you've been locked up, or what you've been locked up for, it's like somebody, pulling the rug right out from under you.
There's a lot of stigma that goes along with that.
But there are programs that that were out there, and I was amazed, how these people, men, women, and young children have come back into society, and these programs, have been there for them.
Yes,
and
indeed.
talking about recovery.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, to sit there, and listen to it.
Man.
Oh
yeah, because it's just like all of us, like we talking now, they just been through something, and a lot of times sometimes somebody can make a mistake, and we don't give that grace, or we've been trained and conditioned through the television or whatever not to give our own people that grace, just because of maybe some mistakes they made in the past. But a lot of times they may have gotten some help in being incarcerated, but now they're trying to change their life, and who are we to block them from making that change? You know what I'm saying? So like you say, it's so great to have resources out there for folks to continue on that
Well,
path.
again, talking to my sons, I know, I can remember when both of them, they left at different times.
Okay.
When I say left, going out, into the world, trying to seek their own fortune, for lack of a better term.
Right.
One, he came to me, and he said, "Well, Dad, it's time to go." And I had always told him, when you are ready, to take up for you, but not just that. I say, you've been raised, to understand and to know who God is, okay? But also, you're telling me now that you're ready to go out there, and you're ready to make it on your own.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to need any help, because we're always here. His mother and I were always here for both of them. My youngest one told me, he said, "Dad, you and Mom have raised us right. You have taught us who God is. You have tried and to put us on the path, where we would have success. I know that there's going to be some pitfalls and things like that." He said, "But even though you're telling me trying not to do this and do that this way, and we try to make sure, that they don't make the mistakes that we do.
Right.
But sometimes they've got to experience things themselves.
Sometimes.
And that's what he told me. He says, there's certain things that I'm going to have to go through myself.
Right.
And sometimes I'm like, because it's a frustration. I just told you, man.
Right.
There's
a hole right there. Yeah. I'm telling you.
If you step in the hole, you're going to hurt something, man.
Right.
But he says, I got to experience things for myself. And I say, okay.
Yeah,
I understand that. I said,
that's
but
real.
Remember, we're still here.
Right. That's the beauty of it, too, that you are there.
Yes.
Because not everybody has that, you know what I'm saying, or has their father in their life, or somebody in there that can help them, that they can afford to make that fall. Sometimes people make that fall, and it takes them a while to get up, you know what I'm saying, because, they don't have, the blessing, of a parent like your sons do. But that's beautiful that you still share, because I think sometimes, like you say, the information is out there, but it's nothing like coming from another individual. You know what I mean? Like, even I think about my own recovery journey, I knew better. The information was out there. I knew what I should and shouldn't be doing, or like, in our youth, we think, okay, no, it's not going to happen to me. I got control. I'm good and whatnot. But, when I get, brought down to size and whatnot, I'm thankful that, even if it wasn't somebody necessarily in my immediate family, even though I had those examples, it was people in my community that said, oh, that's where you can go get your help at, Chris. And I'm so thankful for that.
And that's good, because one of the things I think that's missing is that sense of community. I'm not saying that it's gone. Right. However, and shoot, I can remember, man, knowing everybody on the block from one end to the next.
Oh, yeah.
That neighborhood, boy,
like
man.
that
Oh, no. There are still, and shoot, probably some areas, man, shoot, where that is going on. It's good to see, because like I know I mentioned my church a lot, but there are a couple of members from my church and shoot, man, shoot, who are heavily invested in the young.
Yeah.
They have and shoot a group called Kiamsha. All right, and it still reaches out to those kids in the neighborhood, to those kids that's not in their neighborhoods, to those, and a lot of times they're saying that a lot of the kids, man, they need, boy, like in our instance, men, the young men definitely need, boy, shoot, those that are older, man, shoot, to reach back.
Yes, indeed.
Those are even that are still their age, because it's looked at and it's frowned upon, boy, shoot, man, shoot, so much, man, but as far as you need help.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with getting help.
Yep.
The thing being is that you have to be willing, boy, and shoot, man, shoot, to let yourself, boy, and shoot, be able to reach out for it.
Yeah.
Because
put the ego out,
yes,
put the ego away.
The ego has to get out of the way.
Yes, indeed.
The thing of talking about being shameful has to get out of the way. If you need help, you need help.
Yeah.
You know?
And also too, understanding that the younger person has something to offer too. You know, so sometimes it's
That's
like
a definite.
when we're older, we think, okay, well, I got something to give them. But, you know, especially with technology and, you know, things like that, you know, we could be a greater team together. You know what I'm saying? We need the young and the young needs the old. Together, we're much more powerful than thinking, you know, the youth thinking that they know it all and, you know, the older's not with it. And then the older's looking at the young saying, okay, I done been through all, I done been it all, seen it all, let me tell you and whatnot. You know, so everybody has to kind of sit that ego to the side so we can come together and be a lot more powerful and have that sense of community that you're speaking of and whatnot.
But it's like you say also too, is just because you're older doesn't necessarily mean you have all the answers.
That's right.
Now, the thing being is that there's nothing new under the sun.
Not at all.
It's just packaged a little bit different.
That's right.
Each time, boy, shoot, man, it goes around. I can't tell you how many times somebody hits you that's told me that, and it's funny. And shoot, man, shoot, I see that now. It may not look like what it was, and shoot, when you and I, and shoot, boy, shoot, look at. It may be, shoot, something that's totally different.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But shoot, if you take the time, boy, shoot, man, and you sometimes it's not always about sitting back and studying, but you.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember when. You know, and shoot. Oh yeah. Well, maybe it didn't affect me and shoot like it is in you, because let's look at and shoot. There's a lot more available, boy. Shoot, man, for these kids and shoot now.
Yes, sir.
But I still find myself sometimes there's nothing wrong with putting a little bit of the old in there.
Oh, no doubt.
You know,
no
and
doubt.
shoot, that can help. And that can recognize, and that can help, and not only reach out, but they can also go about, boy, shoot, man, hey, learning themselves.
That's right, and that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's about. Definitely learning yourself and whatnot. And I know we kind of jumped around when we were in the part of the story where you were getting on the ambulance, and
being in that ambulance, man, there came a realization, boy, shoot, and I was laying there. And one trouble, they were trying hard to find vein in my arm.
Okay.
And I'm listening to them and shoot talking, boy, on the radio, man, to the hospital. The good part about it, boy, is that I ended up going to University of Maryland, which was relatively close.
Right.
It was less than a 10, 12-minute ride. And of course, being in the ambulance, it was even quicker than that, because they got there and got me there. My wife, and she had, as she was talking with the emergency people, had given me medicine, aspirin.
Right.
And so, but the realization, boy, man, that I was actually going through something, man, something like that. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know for sure. But one thing for sure, I had that pain in my chest, man, and it would not subside.
Right.
So all during the ride, boy, right in the back of the ambulance and seeing things as we passed, man, to that realization, man, I got to go to the hospital now.
Yeah.
So when we got there, sitting up in there, man. She coming in, she through the emergency room, and then of course you bring all the attention to you because you're coming in, and they got tubes here, and they got oxygen here, and they got this and that, and they taking you in, and that's something, man, that I never thought, man, would be that would happen to me. Well, getting in there, and I don't know if you probably heard, boy, but. Going to emergency rooms nowadays, boy, man, you better plan. You better plan for a 2-day stay.
Stay right.
But I don't mean that as how it sounds. But they got me in. They got me to the back area. Now here I am in the emergency area, and where the room they had me in, I could look out over. And I can see the desks, and where all the nurses and the doctors were. Yeah. A lot of times you don't always see all of them. Most of the time it's nurses and it's doctor now and then. Right. But it was full. But still, I'm under the realization, I'm laying there, boy, told not to move. Yeah. All right. And then finally, a doctor comes in, and he has and shoot these X-rays and things they've taken, and he tell me, yes, you've had a heart attack.
Wow.
And he says, he said, well, from what we see, it's a blockage. And I'm like, a blockage? But come to find out, these days, that blockage is prevalent, boy, in a lot more people, boy, than they know. And from what I've read and what I've been told, it's something that may be a gradual thing, and so some may undergo it, boy, a lot sooner or a lot later, and like in my case. Wow. And it's something, man, that from the time that you start to eat solid food, you gradually start to build up. Okay. It may. I don't know if you remember. You ever remember an athlete, Hank Gathers? Yeah. Hank Gathers. You remember him? Yeah. Big time shape. Collapse. Boy, she's on the floor. Indeed. Running after a rebound, running back up the floor. Yeah. I never thought that would be me. Now, I was glad that I was in my home when it happened, and I was out and I got to the hospital, but they're saying, man, you have a blockage. So after that, they took me to another room, and it's like, they're taking things off of you. Yeah. And the room was cold, man. They had me in there. Now the next thing you know, I'm laying there. This doctor says, he's all suited up. He says, we're going to go in and shoot through your groin area. He says, and where's you going? And he explained to me, we're going to run and shoot, boy, the thing through your vein. And over to my left, there were 2 computer screens. And it showed the inside, my insides, boy, and what he was doing as he was doing it. Wow. Now, while he was doing it, but then the fun part of it, I was butterball naked, boy, from my waist
most
down.
Vulnerable and most powerless you probably have ever felt, do or not.
Man, my legs and everything and behind, up in the air like so, but my head and my feet are down. Indeed. And I'm looking out the corner of my eye, and she over there told not to move. Wow. While he's going through and he's inserting this thing. And once it got from my groin area all the way up and into my chest cavity, it started to hurt. And you can feel the pressure. And he's like, don't move, don't do this, don't do that. And he's going through. And I guess you call it, what they call a rotor-rooter. The vein, is barely bigger than your fingernail. And he's going through, and he has to go through it, and he has to clean it out. And so after everything was done, before everything was done, I'm telling them, look here, man, I am freezing in here. I mean, it's cool on one end, but you got this blanket and things over me, and I'm trying to look and still trying to be conscious, and then still see where I'm going. Right. Okay. Once everything was done, and they decided to move me to the room, long since my mother and my wife had come to the hospital, and they had told them nothing. Right. They didn't know where I was. They didn't, and them at the desk couldn't tell them, what my status was. I'm laying in a hallway up in the IC unit, getting prepared to be put into a room. Wow. Okay. Yes. And when they finally put me in there, I hadn't been in there that long, and then my wife and my mother come in, and the doctor was there talking to me and explaining to me. And now I got tubes and everything, and then told I can't move for 48 hours.
Wow. That's something else.
Not even able to get up and go to the restroom, which was right there in the room.
So as you've gone through all this, and just as we come into a close and show, so we don't go too far over time and whatnot, because I'm definitely enjoying the show. You see, I'm caught up and whatnot. So, in terms of coming on the other side of it, you went through the process. What was the the one revelation that came to you in terms of what you would want to share with the Recover the Ball family, that is through this process of recovery for yourself, that you would want to share with somebody else?
First and foremost, I am blessed and highly favored.
How about that?
I am glad to be here.
Yes, sir.
And I think it was for a reason. It wasn't my time yet.
Yeah.
But I also think, and I know God has a plan for everybody.
No doubt.
You have a job to do, and it's your job, and to make that connection, boy, with the Lord and our Savior, boy, and talk to Him.
How about that?
He will let you know what it is He wants you to do.
Indeed.
All right. Sometimes it takes you a little while to find out, boy, and to understand what it is, and that you should do.
Yeah.
I feel as though as well, and part of it, boy, is to speak up and speak out. Forums like this, and to let somebody know not just what I've been through, but how the Lord has blessed me.
How about that?
But to also to go with the theme of the show, recovery is possible.
Yes, sir.
It is evident, boy, and it will happen. But you got to do your part.
No doubt, no doubt. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you, James, for sharing that
Always,
story.
man. Always,
so
anytime.
We're definitely going to invite you back to Recover the Ball.
Oh, I look forward to it.
You have a lot of wisdom to share with our players. Everybody, I want you all to stay tuned. We're about to close out this episode, but we got a bonus episode coming up for you right after this with me and one of my favorite producers. We're gonna kind of recap what we've been going through over the last 6 months with Recover the Ball, and also share with you some upcoming events that you probably want to pay attention to. So as always, I thank you for tuning in to Recover the Ball with Cowboy Chris, where we meet at that intersection of healing, hope, and having a good time. My family, as always, much love to you. Have a great night. Peace.
Cowboy Nation.